Hey, I'm Kai, and today I'm going to be checking out the Dark Flame Distortion pedal by Joyo. This is supposed to be based on the Rev G4. Now, I've not tried the G4, but I have tried the Rev G3, and I also owned a Rev 100p for a little while. Let's see if Joyo can capture any of that sort of Rev flavour with this pedal. I'll also compare it against my 5153 later on in the video, but first I want to give it a quick overview. For my dry tone, I'm running my Schecter KM7 in drop G sharp into my 5153's clean channel, then into the 2 notes Captor 8 load box and into my DAW, where I'm loading up the ML Soundlab Mega Traditional Impulse Response. I'm using the Epic mix. I'll show how my dry tone sounds and then engage the pedal with all of the knobs at noon, just so that you can hear what it's doing. So as you can tell, it's an incredibly distorted tone just right out the gate. It takes your clean tone right up to oblivion. I'm going to fully sweep through the range of gain with all of the other controls left alone other than the volume, which I'll adjust just to level match everything. So here's how it sounds on a low gain setting. Now we'll turn the gain up to just below halfway. Now just above halfway. And the last thing I'm going to do is try it out on maximum gain. So as far as the gain range goes, it does a sort of crunchy thing on low gain, but most of the range of gain you have available is just high gain stuff. While the Rev G4 that this is based on has a 3-way aggression switch, this pedal actually has a 3-way brightness switch that goes from dark, off to bright. Let's sweep through those and hear what that's doing. I'll stick to the just above halfway for the gain on this. I feel like that's where the sort of sweet spot is. So we'll start with the switch off and then I'll turn it to dark and then bright after that. Since we've heard the gain range and the brightness switch, I'll flick the brightness switch off and we'll go through the range of EQ we have available. Now, I'll warn you, these sweeps are all fairly drastic. I'll sweep the lows first, then the mids, then the highs. think the high control in particular really doesn't like being pushed very far at all, but with a very gentle nudge this does add a nice bit of brightness. I think what I want to do now is dial in a different tone for each of the different gain settings you have available, so we'll start with a nice low gain tone, if you can call it that. You do still get a pretty high gain tone with the gain on low like this, but it does bring out the pick attack quite nicely if you dig in hard. I'll dial something in for it set just below halfway on the gain control as well, and see what we come up with. I'm going to dial in something close to maximum gain now. I'm going to go for a sludgy hardcore sort of thing. I'm finding that this pedal can sound great with the right settings. I may still need to try it out through the orange pedal baby in a future video, so let me know in the comments down below if that's something you'd be interested in. I tried that with the Chopper Z and I really enjoyed it. However, for this video I wanted to try it out through the 5153 so that I could quickly compare it against the 5153's high gain setting. Let's switch over to that now and I'll do a sort of A-B comparison between them. If the Dark Flame can even produce a good tone in comparison, then that'll be a major win since this is a distortion pedal. So that was, of course, the 5153. Let's hear the Dark Flame. I don't know if I can say that it fully holds its own against the 5153, but it does a pretty good job. The last thing I want to try with this one is boosting it with an overdrive pedal, as this is something you would often like to do with a high gain amp. In keeping with the sort of budget nature of this setup, I'm going to run through the Dolommo Overdrive, which is a £13 overdrive pedal I picked up on Amazon that clones the Boss SD1 and adds bass and treble controls. I've set the tone up with a sort of lowish gain on the Dark Flame, which should be right for taking overdrive pedals. I think you'll probably hear this one best on the lower dynamic range of things like single note riffs. Actually, the end of that clip made me realise it's especially good for pulling out the pinch harmonics, so I'll do a sort of A-B comparison with it overdriven and not overdriven. So before I get into my overall review of this pedal, I ought to do a couple of pieces of housekeeping. Firstly, if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, I'd really appreciate it if you could do that. It goes a long way towards helping me out and keeping me producing stuff like this. The second thing that I need to mention is that this is a sponsored video, as Joyo have sent me out this pedal to demo and review. However, I always like to give my honest opinions and my pros and cons on the pedal, regardless of whether it's sponsored or unsponsored. I'd say overall this is a really solid sounding distortion pedal. I would have liked to have more range on the gain knob in particular, so more of the low gain crunchy sort of stuff before it gets into the high gain madness would have been appreciated. I also would have liked to have a separate boost foot switch. It sounded really good with the boost pedal, so that's the only reason I wanted that. However, I do understand they were going for a sort of straightforward clone of the Rev G4. While the tone of this distortion pedal overall can sound pretty wimpy at times, especially when compared to the 5153, I do think I was able to coax some great tones out of it. As with a lot of preamp pedals like this, I believe it's going to be sort of a set and forget thing. You find the tone that you like and you stick with it. I obviously wanted to demo the full range of everything this pedal has available, but if you were using it, you would dial it in for your guitar, your amp, your playing style, all that stuff, and then probably just leave it as is. I found the 3-band EQ to be pretty great on this pedal, however the high control is way too extreme. I would have liked to have a narrower control and then more granular response over that. I think the bass, middle and treble all hit the right frequencies though, so it works really nicely and you are able to dial it in exactly how you want it. Bass controls that flubby low end thing, mid controls the push and the punch, and the treble controls that sort of nice top end sizzle. I don't think I really needed the 3-position brightness switch. I think ultimately I would probably just leave this one off and dial it in with the EQ instead, but it's there if you need it. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. This pedal costs about £50 here in the UK, and I think if you're wanting to get some high gain distortion out of your clean amp, it's a very solid pick to go for. I definitely prefer the sound of the amp distortion, but I understand that that's not for everyone. Having a great big high gain amp on disposal isn't easy. If you've got something like a clean combo amp and you're just wanting to have a distortion pedal for a little bit of metal now and again, this is a very good pick. That is everything that I've got for this video though, so please drop a comment down below letting me know what you thought of the Joyo Dark Flame. There'll be a link on screen to another one of my videos, one that YouTube recommends and thinks you'll like. Until next time though, I've been Kai.